Live from Fargo and serving you on TV, online, and on the go. This is Valley News Live at 6.
New guidelines for large gatherings in North Dakota have helped ease some of the stress for brides in the Red River Valley. Wedding venues went from only allowing 10 people up to 250. Valley News Team's crime and safety reporter Bailey Hurley talked to the local bride, who says luckily her second wedding celebration will be a little more normal than the first.
Getting married in a pandemic isn't exactly what little girls dream of. But despite the odds, Kyla Halverson and her new husband, Austin, tied the knot 2 weekends ago at the Pines with just 12 people total in attendance.
It definitely went as best as it could.
But the newlywed celebration isn't quite over yet, as the pair have a second reception date planned next month, something they decided on back in March when COVID-19 closures first started.
It's really sad, there's going to be a lot of people that are missing it just because it's so kind of last minute changes, people have to work. It's on a Sunday on top of it, but we couldn't push it off.
Halverson says they saved some aspects of their big day, like their first dance and unity ceremony, for next month's celebration.
Have that full new day magic again, and that's kind of what we were aiming for.
She says around 150 people will be there, but like many other local wedding venues we spoke to today, Halverson says she's not exactly sure how social distancing that many people will look.
Luckily, they have the room to fit that much, so they'll probably keep households and couples together, keep them and then just spacing everyone out.
She says they're urging guests not to attend next month's reception if they're immunocompromised or feeling sick, and will ask guests to leave if social distancing measures aren't being followed.
I'm sure there's many people that don't agree with what we're doing, but we're taking all precautions.
In Fargo, Bailey Hurley, Valley News Live.
Other local wedding venues that we spoke with today say that meals are allowed to be served as long as they are not buffets, and say dancing is also still allowed as long as guests don't congregate in one area. A little breezy out there today, but other than that, our stretch of nice weather seems to continue. Let's find out from our First Alert Storm team about tonight's conditions. Hutch is here now with details. Hutch?
Mike, gotta tell you, beautiful over the skies of the FM area, and a lot more green than even last week, with that sunshine and warm temperatures really helping the trees to blossom. Hey, speaking of skies over Fargo, this captured by Alicia Marie. What a gorgeous shot as that B-52 made its way over, and a video shared as well by Dylan. Thanks so much for taking the time to upload your photos and videos. And thanks to all of you frontline workers out there. What an amazing thing to see over our area today. 70s still this evening. Winds are gusting over 20 miles per hour, but as you can see, no rain in sight. And the clouds, well, they're staying free of the area as well. We'll stay in the 70-degree range all the way till sunset, which is at 9 o'clock tonight. And then things start cooling down just a pinch into the 60s. Grand Forks, same thing goes. Gorgeous up and down the Red River Valley from Lakes Country all the way out into the Central Dakotas. I'll have details on what we can expect for your Tuesday and beyond, as some nice warm weather in a stretch of more than 1 or 2 days appears to be upon us. Mike?
And stick around later in this show. We'll show you our version of seeing that bomber fly over the city. Thanks, Hutch.
You bet.
The U.S. Attorney says more people could be arrested in connection with the death of a 5-year-old girl from the Spirit Lake Reservation. Her foster care parents appeared before a federal judge today. Eric Longy Jr. and Tammy Longy were both arrested by the FBI Friday night. They're accused of beating other kids in their care as well as killing Raven Thompson. Valley News Team's Joshua Pogero joins us live in front of the federal courthouse, where federal officials just finished speaking about the case. Joshua?
One of the things I wanted to break down, Mike, is that U.S. Attorney Drew Wrigley spoke for about half an hour, and one of the first questions I asked him is why wasn't the couple charged with murder? The thing he said is that due to the coronavirus pandemic, grand juries are not meeting, and normally in order to file an indictment, it goes before a grand jury. And according to him, is we went forward with these assault charges because the parents were charged with assault because they wanted to get them off the streets as soon as possible. He again stressed that this investigation is in its earliest phases and law enforcement has a plan on moving forward. Now, 2 of those assault charges carry life in prison, the maximum of life in prison, and that's how long long they can be in, and that's how long that punishment is. And so one of the things that we ask him is about what type of message he wants to send for those Native Americans on reservations.
I agree with the call for justice for Raven. I agree with the call for justice for Zane. I agree with the call for justice for child victims number 2 and 3, who will be named at a future point. This was instantly a top priority matter for federal law enforcement, for the United States Attorney's Office, and it continues on up ahead.
The Longies will appear again in federal court on the 21st of this month. And again, U.S. Attorney Drew Wrigley wanted to stress that although they were not charged with murder, he wanted to get them off the streets. And these assault charges, again, carry serious punishment. Reporting live in Fargo, Joshua Peguero, Valley News Live.
All right, thanks so much, Joshua. And be sure to stay with Valley News Live as we continue to follow this case. For the latest, you can make sure by going to our VNL News app. There's been another death related to the coronavirus in the state of North Dakota. The most recent case is a woman in her 90s from Ramsey County with underlying health conditions. It's the 44th death in the state linked to the virus. 37 deaths are due to the virus. 4 are patients who died from the virus. And 3 death records are still pending. Overall, the state saw another 31 positive cases, 26 of those in Cass County. The state considers 712 cases active, with over 1,200 patients listed as being recovered. Minnesota is reporting another 9 deaths in the state linked to the virus, bringing that state's total to 731. Overall, another 705 positive cases have been reported, pushing the state's total over 16,000. Nearly 11,000 patients are listed as no longer needing isolation. The owner of a group of central Minnesota taverns has backed down and decided he will not defy an order from Minnesota's governor to reopen. Chris Schiffler says he didn't want anyone to get into trouble after first saying that he would fight a lawsuit brought on by the state's attorney general. Schiffler, who owns and operates a chain of 6 Shady's Bar restaurants, addressed a crowd of people outside his Albany location this afternoon, saying that his attorney advised him not to open the doors and that would continue the fight for small businesses in court. A GoFundMe account has raised over $200,000 to help pay legal fees. A temporary restraining order was granted by a county judge, which could have meant a fine of up to $25,000 for every day that the tavern was open. And the governor's executive order will let bars and restaurants open with new guidelines in place on June 1st. As more states ease restrictions during the pandemic, Uber and Lyft are implementing new policies to keep riders and drivers safe. Starting today, your app is going to look a little different. Before drivers can use the app, they must take a mask selfie. If a face covering isn't found in the photo, the driver can't make trips. Drivers need to show that they've sanitized their cars and confirm that they don't have any symptoms.
I would say that it's safe now, now that we have all these rules, and we have to follow them or else.
Uber says accountability is key, and they are encouraging drivers to cancel trips without penalty if they don't feel safe, including if the rider isn't wearing a face cover. Still no sign of a missing 13-year-old in Bemidji. Megan Barney is her name. She was last seen near Hillcrest Manor Mobile Home Park in Bemidji yesterday afternoon. Authorities believe that she still may be in the Bemidji area and also say that she has family in the Cloquet, Minnesota area. A Moorhead man could wind up spending 30 years in prison. Matthew Romero is charged with having sex with an underage girl. Authorities say the 19-year-old had sex with a 14-year-old and afterwards told her not to tell anyone because he could get into trouble. Police want you to know about a high-risk sex offender now living in North Fargo. 67-year-old David Ishenko is staying at 1225 8th Street North. Now, that's 2 blocks away from Roosevelt Elementary School. He was convicted of having more than 2,000 images of child porn. 700 soldiers from the Minnesota National Guard will be going overseas. It's part of the Operation Enduring Freedom. The 135th Infantry will be going to the Horn of Africa this summer. These soldiers are from around our area, including hometowns of Grand Forks, Fargo, and Brainerd. The soldiers are expected back in the States in the spring of 2021. Keep a close eye on your pets when they are outside, especially in a certain area of Fargo. Authorities want you to know about what is believed to be a mountain lion that was spotted on the south side. Police got a couple of calls of the big cat around Lemke Park off of 32nd Avenue South. There have been no other reports since then. Later on Valley News Live at 6, giving back to a super fan. How some Minnesota athletes showed how they felt about this individual.
Beautiful weather to start our work week as temperatures kissed 70 degrees today in Grand Forks and in Fargo. Well, we're dry. Fire danger is very high with the winds out there in the Devil's Lake Basin. Your forecast for the rest of your work week is next.